this is Joie, and this is going to be my very late response to Marlene Theresa's Tarot Extreme or Tarot to the Extremes tag, which was very fun to watch, you know, other people's videos. I just simply had no time to film one, so I'm gonna be, you know, posting late tags in the upcoming weeks. But, you know, it's okay. We do things when we have time. You know, sometimes I'm extremely time fulfilled and have time to film videos, sometimes on the other side, and I don't have time to film videos. So, you know, this is one of those cases. So all the prompts are gonna be listed down below, just like her original video. And you know, honestly, it's a really fun tag. So if you click through the videos, I've seen many. They were fun to watch, and of course, you know, you can discover decks. My favorite category, I think, is the underrated and overrated decks, because it's always so interesting to see what people think is overrated, and you know, but it's something like you don't want to say, but then you have a chance to say it, and then you say it. So that's one. And the underrated decks, because you can, you know, discover decks that you might didn't think about getting. So yeah, I think it's fun. So let's start. I have my phone with me with all the prompts, because who can remember 7 categories? I cannot. First one is the minimalist versus the maximalist, where I was thinking about, you know, like the very simple art versus very busy art, but not busy for just the sake of being busy. So the 2 decks in this category, I almost went with something else for this one, but then I remembered that this is a very simple deck. I got it for the colors. To be honest, if you watched my walkthrough, this is my bisexual deck. It's a very simple, you know, I'm not saying bad, it's just saying that it's a simple art. It's the original one, redrawn and colored. I don't think there's a lot of extra thought behind the color choices, at least not something that I noticed. Now looking through it, I don't think there is, but you know, it's a great deck. I mean, it's with, you know, with Stasia Burrington's artwork, which I love. But the other one is the Joie de Vivre, which I opened in the wrong end, obviously. I really need to make a bag for this deck, because I realized that one of the biggest reasons why I don't use this deck, because I just hate the box that's in. And I already trimmed this one, which I might or might have not regretted. Yeah, I know. But maybe I didn't regret it. I just keep remembering that I don't use it. If you look at it, it has a lot of details, but I love the busyness of it, because this is a sort of deck that a detail can pull you in you know, different details can pull you in different readings. For example, I never realized that there was a ladybug here on her hair before, you know, and there's something like a little creature here as well. So, you know, you can do a reading and notice something tiny that can become significant in a reading with these two. So they are definitely opposites of each other, because, oh, look at that, the Empress and the Emperor. A pair that will highlight the difference between the two. I kind of like it. I mean, I don't think they would definitely look really good on the table next to each other. They might be in the 3 decks on the table at some point, I don't know. But yeah, these are my maximalist decks and my minimalist one. And I will talk, because I don't want to edit this video, because I hate editing. So I'm probably gonna put this back after. Okay, next one. Next one is the daytime versus nighttime. Well, Marlene said it's how she looked at the categories. She does readings in the morning and she does readings in the evening, and you know which deck suits that purpose. But I don't do readings in the morning. I used to do one card pulls in the morning for a while, but that didn't really, you know, jive with me. And then I did oracles when I really needed it, but I do a lot of things in the morning, so I don't really do tarot. So what I went with is which deck makes me think about the daytime and which decks make me think about the nighttime. So for the daytime, I picked the Field Tarot, which is a very light, you know, it has not pastel colors because it's not, it's a bit muted. So it's kind of giving me a bit of a overcast, you know, feeling for a day, but it still feels light and, you know, how to say that? Yeah, just light. I don't know. I'm not gonna look for another word, but and this could have been my, you know, in the first category, but I was like, no, I have something else. But even, you know, with dark cards like this, it still gives me, because the green is so light, it makes me think about that this would be a good daytime deck. And for the nighttime deck, I went with the Supernatural Tarot, because when you think about Supernatural, you think about the night and the hunt. Plus, the cards are, you know, like, I edged it, so they were not black, which is a waste. But, you know, they are black with a few colors, just like two other colors, so it's a very dark deck. Plus, the theme of the deck is dark. But oh, look at that! You know, like the whole show is pretty much playing out in the dark. So we have Isa one with the Magician for this one, and they kind of look good together on the table, to be honest. If you think about it, I wasn't ever thinking about using them together, but I kind of like the so obviously visually, you know, like contrasting image they get or they give. Six of Swords with Nine of Cups and Nine of Cups with Princess of Wands. Okay, so yeah, you know, even if there's the same card, they give off completely different vibes, and they don't really give you a lot to work with visually, which is interesting. So these are definitely not something that you can go off on as like being intuitive, which is, I mean, with the Field Tarot maybe because of the keywords, but definitely not with the Supernatural Tarot. And I kind of forgot how much I like the cardstock on the Field Tarot. Okay, yeah, of course it's US games. I like US games, cardstock. The next one is the best truffle versus the worst truffle, and what I was thinking about for this one is, you know, I didn't go through all of my decks to see which shuffles what way, because who has that much time? I don't. But I mean, if you do, it's awesome. But I was just thinking about, you know, from the decks that I regularly use or like to use, which is giving me the worst experience versus the best experience. And if you know me, and if you're, you know, not new to my channel, if you are, please like and subscribe. You know that I love the Light Seer Tarot, but I absolutely hate the cardstock. How it feels in my hand. It's chunky, it's stiff, and it cuts into my hand, even though it's not gilded. I can overhand shuffle it, like, you know, okay. That's my preferred shuffling method as well. I'm not very good with riffle shuffling, but this one I always feel like I have to like really just, you know, it requires a lot of effort. So I can't imagine if someone with, you know, problems with their hands would be able to shuffle it. Yeah. So even though I love this deck and I use it often and I would never part with it, I just wish that they would reconsider the cardstock for this one. And if they would re-release it with a better cardstock, this would be a no-brainer for me to get it. And why did I put it away? I wanted to show you guys next to the other one. Okay. And the deck which gives me the most tactile pleasure, I guess, when I shuffle it from the decks that I really love, is the Oak, Ash, and Thorn, because it has, even though this is a chunky deck as well, I don't know how thick they are. They're pretty similar, so I can't say that it's a thinner deck, but it's a bit smaller, so I still have a better grip on it. The cardstock is just excellent, and I don't even remember if I don't often reverse shuffle this deck or any decks, to be honest, but I still have an easier time with doing that. But I love the way that it just acts for overhand. I just love listening to the cards, and I love how they feel, even if it looks awkward in camera or on camera. I just love shuffling this one. So yeah, definitely. Again, the Empress. Okay, there's something. Okay, what the hell? The Empress and the Empress. Didn't even realize that we had the Empress and the Empress, but I guess we're showing the same cards for this video because coincidences, huh? So yeah, they are very, very different. Obviously, it's an animal deck with a more muted watercolor palette. I don't even know how this one was made. At first I assumed that this was painted, but now I'm thinking about that maybe they were drawn over actual images and that's how they were created. I'm kind of thinking, looking through some of the cards, that I don't think I ever saw information about how this deck was created. But not like it matters, but it's a more vibrant, more colorful palette, even if like it's not I love her. Maybe it's not obvious at first, but yeah. And I just love both decks, but I wish this would have a better cardstock. And to be honest, that's the reason why I still would like to get my hands on the indie version, even though last time someone talked about it and mentioned that it was available. It was for like $300, and I was like, I would like to get that deck, but not for that much. So I'm still hoping that Hay House will be like, okay, we're gonna give you another run with better cardstock, because a lot of people complain about it, so a lot of people would buy it. So maybe, like, I don't know, just maybe, please. Okay, next one. Not like, Hay House would watch this video, but I'm just adding to the collective. The next one is the Confronting versus Comforting, and to be honest, this was something where I just picked one deck for the Confronting one because I had one for the Comforting that I specifically picked up this year when I felt like none of my decks I couldn't handle any of my decks, so none of my decks would work because I was just that down at the bottom of the hole, and I knew that I needed something that would be like sweet and just gentle, because any of my decks that I have, because I usually love artwork like the Hush Tarot, and when you're feeling really, really like bad, something like that is not it's not gonna be a thing that you can handle. And I never knew, or I never thought that this would be the case, but you learn everything, you learn something new every time you do something. So To be honest, I just picked this one up, but any of my decks could have been here in the Confronting, because when I'm doing a reading, when I'm emotionally or whatever mentally there and to handle it, anything can be confronting because it depends on the topic of the reading. But when I'm not there, I want something like this, you know. Yeah, Nine of Swords. With cute animals and colors and great cardstock is just a bit too big, unfortunately. And why is it always... I don't know, I don't read reversals, but I manage to shuffle reversals in all the time. So yeah, that is something that I picked up for this specific reason. And this one is heavily deals with death and decay. If you look at it, you know, there's a lot of images where bodies are not completely in the realm of the living, I would say. So it can be very much... Look at that Nine of Swords. I mean, that was the first card, right? Let's look at the two together. No? Where's the Nine of Swords? I know this. Okay. Like, look at those. When you're feeling really Nine of Swordsy, which one is easier to handle? A monkey that's kind of hiding behind some swords, or someone who has a bunch of stones, you know, like around their head, and it feels like she's either... It could be like, you know, she's getting buried alive, or, you know, because the motion might not come down but come up, but still feel heavy and just stuck, and just, you know, just look at those two. So yeah, I definitely wanted something, and it worked well. I was able to do start, you know, having conversation with the divine or with source again, because I really needed those conversations, but I wouldn't be able to handle anything, even though I love the art in the Hush Tarot. You know, it's one of my favorite decks because of the art, but that was just not something that... And to be honest, the Light Seers would have been the same as well. When when I'm there, I just can't handle it, and, you know, call it whatever you want. This is what it is. So yeah, comforting versus confronting is the Hush and the Animators Tarot, which I'm still thinking about. I might trim it so that I can handle it more easily, but I'm not, you know, I haven't decided if I want to do that. I have to decide. Decisions. Okay, next one is the everyday versus every so often. So I have a bunch of decks which I use every so often, so that was again something where I could, you know, build you a pile. For the everyday, this is the deck that I'm pretty much using exclusively for a while now, ever since I got it. I don't know why, but we bonded, and it's the pocket version. I was doing readings yesterday with it, and it just works well, and I don't know why. I still haven't figured it out, but, you know, there's gonna be a few months in at some point where I answer questions like, why are all these cards upside down? But, you know, if you look at this Ten of Swords, this is not something that I would have been able to use just recently, so obviously it can be a triggering deck as well. But yeah, this is my everyday right now with all the set cards. Like, why? And for the every so often, I picked the True Black because it's a beauty, and I think that kind of keeps me sometimes away from it, because I'm like, This is a special deck. This is, you know, like, this is beautiful. I shouldn't just ask, why do I feel so bad right now? It should be used, even though the shuffling is nice, it should be used for something, you know, like significant or important. Do you have that ridiculousness sometimes that you don't use decks because you designate or look at them as they are special, and then it just leads you not to use them? And then you're like, why do I even have this deck if I don't use it? So yeah, they're very kind of similar in feel, even though they look completely different. And yeah, I have the extra card in. I always keep the extra cards in. All the pages and strength and the 8. They kind of look nice next to each other. The big one and the small one. Ace of Pentacles and the World. Oh, and we have the first matching one. I was curious if we would get one, but we have the Two of Cups. Thank you for, you know, matching on a good one. And they're kind of similar, as in simplicity. Okay, I kind of like how they look next to each other. I could use these two to clarify messages for sure. You know, like do a reading with one and then clarify with the other one. Not necessarily do a reading with the big one and clarify with the small one. I could do it the other way around. But I like how they look next to each other. Maybe it's because, you know, there's not a lot of color in the Wide Unknown pocket either. It could be the one. So yeah, this is my every so often, because it's just beautiful, and I don't know. I will start using it at some point, but maybe not now for some reason. And the everyday is definitely, even though I have the everyday, which would be fun if I would use that every day, but no. Okay, next one. We're almost done, I think. There's like 2 categories. Next one is my favorite one, is the overrated versus the underrated. And now, before you jump on me and be like, what are you talking about? For the overrated, I chose the Rider-Waite Smith. This is the Radiant Wise, but I just mean, and I don't mean the deck itself, because obviously we wouldn't have the Rider-Waite Smith, we wouldn't have anything else. So I'm not saying that it's overrated as in its importance. But a lot of people, I realized or noticed when I was coming into tarot, especially, you know, when I started with decks, were like, you have to have, you know, the original deck. You have to have a version of the Rider-Waite Smith deck. And I was like, oh, okay, even though I don't like the... most of my problems are with the colors. I just don't like the colors, and I'm not drawn to them. I love 100 others clones, but for some reason, and I love this version, you know, the Radiant Wise. That's why I asked my friend to get it for me, because I love the colors much more. But I'm just like, I'm not really there for the the faces are so weird, for the imagery necessarily. And I felt guilty for that for a long time, because I felt like I can't be a good tarot reader if I, you know, don't like and use the original deck. But you know what? That's an overrated opinion. I think that's bullshit. I mean, sorry to say that. I do appreciate this deck and everything, you know, and the original, obviously, and everyone who uses it. I'm not saying that you're a phony or you're like, or anything if you use it. If you love it and you use it, then awesome. But the expectation that's put on people coming into tarot tube or tarot readings is that you have to have it. That, I think it's overrated, and it shouldn't. You know, my opinion, you can hate me for it, and I respect that, but let's talk about something nicer. The underrated is the Tarot of the Little Prince, because I don't see people using this deck. I mean, they're kind of similar in, you know, color theme or warmness, color temperature, I guess. It's a brilliant deck, and all you need to do is, if you've never read the Tarot or, you know, the Little Prince, it's like a few hours or a day max to understand the story. I mean, if you pay attention to it, obviously, if you understand the story, you will love this deck because, oh, look at that, my favorite lovers ever. It was part of my, when I did that big project where I picked all the favorite cards, and this will be forever my favorite lovers. And they just look they look nice next to each other, but it's a brilliant deck. Some of the characters, obviously, like the queens, are not necessary from the book because there wasn't a lot of characters in it. It's a simple story, as in, like, it was written for children. I don't know why it's written for children and they don't understand it, but whatever. But there are just like the Six of Pentacles. When he the prince asked him to draw, and it's a brilliant one. And everybody should, check into it and give it a chance because it's a brilliant deck, and I stand by, pimping it. So yes, definitely and we didn't get a matching one, unfortunately. I was hoping. Judgment Devil, huh? Almost. So yeah, I was really hoping that, people would give this deck more chance, but I don't really see it. So I have obviously videos on it, so if you want to see the cards or if you want to see me talk about it or listen to me and see the cards, just check those out because I do love this deck. And I'm not saying that obviously that this is a bad deck. It's just, hope I made it clear what I meant by overexposed. And the last one is the light work versus shadow work. How I defined these two is the light work is for when you're okay or feeling good about yourself and you want to evolve in some area, and shadow work is when you're, when you have a shit to deal with and you're doing that. I'm not really in the phase right now where I can do light work. I'm definitely in the I need to deal with shit phase of my life. There's a lot of moving pieces and it's heavy. So I'm more into shadow work at the moment. And for that, to be honest, any deck, I use any deck that is just available. I don't really have a designated shadow work deck because, like I said in a previous category, the work depends on what you do with the cards and what the questions are. So I pulled the first one that was at hand, and that's the Llewellyn Tarot. And it could be used for shadow work because it really just depends on what you ask the cards. Because if you have a question like, I don't know, why do I feel like I feel? And you have, okay, I think it is the Knight of Swords. Then you need to think about what that makes you feel like, and then it can go very dark ways, or it can go down roads like, are you starting that journey you're supposed to, or are you still sitting on your resources and just standing at the hillside and not actually taking part in the battle and doing what you're supposed to do as a knight and stuff like that. That can become very heavy. But if I would be, in a different place, and hopefully in the future I will be, the one deck that definitely came to mind was the Smoke, Ash and Embers because of my dragons. Because who else would help me evolve and get closer to my purpose and, figure out how to serve others better and how to live a more fulfilling life than my dragons. So I just pulled. No, I shouldn't. Now that song is gonna get stuck in my head. So yeah, this is going to be my light works because my dragons are gonna be there for me and show me things like that. And I just love this deck. If you know me anything, that's the extra card. Anything about me, I'm all for this deck and dragons, and this is my soul deck, I guess. It's just the deck form of my soul, or the more optimistic part, I guess, the lighter side of things. Because I'm not handling things, the shadowy side, as well as these dragons, but yeah. This can become a shadower deck easily, and I mean, obviously this one as well, but when I came to, when this topic came to mind, I was thinking about this deck. So I think I'm just repeating myself now because I'm distracted by the dragons. Oh, let's leave with the High Priestess, because do I have a High Priestess? Of course not. I have all the 8 of Cups and Hangman and whatnot. But yeah, these are my selections for these categories, and thank you so much, Marlene Theresa. I think I don't know if it's both, you're using both as your first name, or it's one of your surname. I have no idea. But yeah, thank you so much for creating the tag, and thank you everyone who's watching, who's creating the video responses, because it's really fun to watch. Like I said, I watched a lot, and yeah, if you like this video, please like, subscribe, comment down below. Check out my decks, because I have a bunch now and new ones are coming, and I'm very, very happy for them. And one of them is an Rider-Waite clone with galaxies, because you know what, why not? But yeah, thank you so much for being here, and see you in the next one. Bye.